Bookworm family, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Danny. Please hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, please be sure to do that. It is at Danny's Book Corner 2018, and I will definitely link that down below. If you did not get a chance to watch my most recent video, then I will share this news with you in this video as well. But starting in January, I'm going to be posting a video a week. I am wicked excited about that, so no more turn on the notification bell because it's always a mystery when I post new videos. You should turn on the notification bell anyway so you know what day of the week it gets posted on, because I cannot promise that it's going to be the same day every week. That is not a guarantee. But I will have a video posted once a week for the year 2020. So I'm really excited about that. But we have to finish up 2019 first, and the way I like to end 2019 is by going through my book journal and really looking at all the things that I read and embraced and let into my world and entered a new universe and all that stuff. So I want to share that with you guys. I am going to make this video a little bit longer than last year's video just because I feel like, why not? Like, we should do that, right? But yeah, I think I want you guys to be able to see the pages more, see the drawings more. I worked really hard on this year, so I feel like because of that I should get to share it with all of you. So anyway, let's get right into it. So I am just recording this on my bed. I'm going to do my best to find an angle where my hand doesn't shake. I think this will probably, if I do it like this, will probably be the best one. But here's the outside of the binder. I just did Reflect, Discover, Create, Grow, and Think sticker. And then on the edge, I did 2019 with these confetti stickers. This is the easiest place for me to record, even though it's not super great for lighting purposes, but I think you guys will get the gist. So let's just get right into it. So it always skips the first page, but the first page is just my goal and my total. My goal was 65 and I ended up reading 92 books this year. Then I have my TBR page. These were books that were on my bookshelf that I wanted to read. A lot of these ended up getting unhauled just because I knew I would never read them. And unfortunately, I didn't do great with reading them, but I did read more than I did the year before on my TBR shelf, so that's good. Then I have my table of contents. I'm just going to flip through some of these pages with like not important stuff, because obviously you guys are going to see the whole contents of the book, but the table of contents comes first. And zoop, there's that one and that one. So then each of my cover pages for the months and like opening and closing is just the circular design with like a little like design that's significant to whatever that is, and the opening. So for the opening I just did like an open and closed book. And then to track my books this year, I did like little mini cover art. I would say my favorite on this first page is probably Viking Ships at Sunrise, just because I really enjoy the colors that I did there. I also like how I did the Lemonade Wars, just based off of how the lemonade stand looks. I'll zoom in on those two for you. And I also really like Full Tilt just because I didn't know I could draw a bus, and then all of a sudden I could. So then we have the second page of this, and I'd say probably my favorite ones on this page. I definitely like the first page ones better, but I kind of like nipped in the bud. I worked really hard on that one, and I really like the bright orange background. These are obviously just mini versions of covers, and some of them aren't even like the mini version of the actual covers, just like mini covers that I designed that I thought went well with the book. Then we go to the author index. This is just sorted by last name and all the authors that I read. I have read a lot of repeat authors this year, so I didn't really go through a lot of authors this year. Then we have my library cards. So this one is books that I lent out and when they got returned, when they were like lent out and stuff like that. And then books that I've borrowed when I got them and when I returned them. And the ones that have not been returned yet, I have carried over into the 2019 binder. So you guys will see that in the, 2020 binder. So you guys will see that in that binder. So then I get into January. January, I read 5 books. I'm just going to go through the like books and the authors' names as fast as I can so that we're not here all day. But I'm going to stop if there's like an important thing on that page. So starting off, we have Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Who Was Lucille Ball by Pam Pollock and Meg Belvicio. The Lucky Few by Heather Avis. Part of Your World by Liz Braswell. Belle's Library by various authors. Then we get into February, and I read 5 books in February as well. We have Skizzer by A.J. Keisling. The Wednesday Wars by Gary D. Schmidt. Seed Folks by Paul Fleischman. The Call of the Wild by Jack London. Inside Out and Back Again by Thanha Lei. I can't say her name. I do like how I did the text for this one, though, so I was pretty happy. And I like the colors on this page, too. In March, I read 6 books. The Princess Saves Herself in this one by Amanda Lovelace. The Mermaid's Voice Returns in this one by Amanda Lovelace. The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one by Amanda Lovelace. Break Into the Internet by Carla Jablonski. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. And Code Talker by Joseph Bruchac. I also like how I did the camouflage text on this one too. In April, I read 10 books. That was a huge reading month for me. I read Al Capone Does My Shirts by Jennifer Cholodenko. What Were the Twin Towers by Jim O'Connor. A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. The Pinballs by Betsy Byers. The Maze Runner by James Dashner. Full Tilt by Neil Shusterman. Shooter by Carolyn Pignat. I've never been able to say her last name. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling. The Frog Who Jumped the Moon by Richard Mickelson. This is actually a local author, and this was a self-published book, or like a small publishing company book. The Little and Lion, or not The Little, but Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert. And did I miss one? Nope, that was it. Okay, so then in May, I read 5 books. I read The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Hayden. The Funny Thing Is by Ellen DeGeneres. One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus. The Magic Misfits by Neil Patrick Harris. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. In June, I read 13 books. This was my largest reading month. I read The Runaways by Rainbow Rowell. Number the Stars by Lois Lowry. Viking Ships at Sunrise by Mary Pope Osborne. The Lemonade Wars by Jacqueline Davies. Impulse by Ellen Hopkins. Tonight on the Titanic by Mary Pope Osborne. Dingoes at Dinner Time by Mary Pope Osborne. Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welch. Gathering Blue by Lois Lowry. I Am Not Esther by Flora Beale. The Memory Thief by Bryce Moore. Chasing Forgiveness by Neil Shusterman. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is another one that I really like how I did the pixel effect on the text, and I also kind of like the drawing. I didn't, it's not much, but I really like how the drawing went. And then we reached the mid-year point, so this is before the rest of the month, so I kind of take a stop and kind of look at the books that I've read up until the end of June. So the first thing that I do is the Ultimate Book Race, and this is when I race the books, my best books of 2018 and so far in 2019 to see what the overall book was. So the best book in 2018 ended up being Orbiting Jupiter, and the one in 2019 ended up being Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, so that left me with Harry Potter series as the winner, or I did the whole series. Oh, I did the whole series. Oh well, that's okay. So I did the whole series in this one, but I think I separated them. Maybe I didn't separate them in the other one. But anyway, so this is Harry Potter beat Orbiting Jupiter by a landslide in my book. I really love Orbiting Jupiter, but Harry Potter was really like my favorite of all time, ever, always. So then I do the biannual superlatives, which I realize I don't think it's called biannual. I think it's like twice annually or whatever, but I do this twice a year. So I do this. This is the January through June edition, and all my 5-star books were Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, The Wednesday Wars, Seed Folks, The Maze Runner, Full Tilt, The Princess Saves Herself in this one, Tonight on the Titanic, Al Capone Does My Shirts, and Chasing Forgiveness. So those were my top 5 books from January to June, or all of my 5-star books from January to June. The top book being Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, worst being Impulse, and then the best character was Christopher from A Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. The best setting was in Ready Player One. The most diverse was Seed Folks. The longest book was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, the shortest book being Seed Folks. The funniest book that I read was Love and Luck. The saddest book was Call of the Wild. Song that best fits the book was Rumor Has It by Adele for One of Us is Lying. Overall quote is, "It's not what someone is born, but what they grow to be," from Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Best Poetry was The Princess Saves Herself in this one. Best YA was Full Tilt. Best Christian was The Lucky Few. Best Children's was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Best Adult was Ready Player One. Best Mystery was One of Us is Lying. Best Nonfiction is The Funny Thing Is. Best Sci-Fi Fantasy was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Best Author was J.K. Rowling. Best Historical was Tonight on the Titanic. Best Romance is Part of Your World. Best Book Box was Geek Gear Wizardry. And characters I most relate to, Hermione from the Harry Potter series, Addie from Love and Luck, and Carly from the Pinballs. So that was from January to June, all those awards that I gave. Then we got back into the books and we are in July. And we started off with Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret by Judy Blume. Fun Home by Alison Bechtel. Ellen Foster by Kay Gibbons. The Life All Around Me by Ellen Foster by Kay Gibbons. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I really love how I did the font up here, but I also really learned how to draw a microphone, and I was really excited because I love doodling, and microphones are a really easy doodle. Also, one of the greatest books that I read this year was Daisy Jones and the Six. Matilda by Roald Dahl. Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I, Robot by Isaac Asimov. Words in Deep Blue by Kath Crowley. Then I'm in August, and I read Please by Jericho Brown. Stuart Little by E.B. White. Rivals, Frenemies Who Changed the World by Scott McCormick. Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake. Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. For Everywhere by Steve Burns and Steve Draws. And I also learned I could draw a unicorn on this, so that was really exciting. Plus, I really love that I got to use all the colors of the rainbow for this page, because it's about, somebody named Princess Rainbow and a unicorn. So, yeah. And then I read Like Pickle Juice on a Cookie by Julie Sternberg. Mr. Popper's Penguins by Richard Atwater. El Defo by Cece Bell. Nipped in the Bud by Susan Sleeman. Again, another one that I really enjoy, both the drawing and the font for this one. September, I read 7 books. I read Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. The Miracle Worker by William Gibson. Illuminate by Jay Kristoff and Annie Kaufman. Sorry. Love That Dog by Sharon Creech. Hate That Cat by Sharon Creech. A Swiftly Tilting Planet by Madeline L'Engle. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling. In October, I read 9 books. I read Attack of the Jack-O'-Lanterns by R.L. Stine, which is a Goosebumps book. Vampire Breath by R.L. Stine, which is also a Goosebumps book. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling, John Tiffany, and Jack Thorne. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by J.K. Rowling. Crimes of Grindelwald by J.K. Rowling. The Telltale Heart and Other Stories by Edgar Allan Poe. Carrie by Stephen King. Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel by A.W. Jantha. And then in November, I only read 5 books because this is when my father passed away, so my reading kind of went downhill after that, unfortunately. But let's take a look anyway. I read Hogwarts Library by J.K. Rowling, which was actually 3 books in one. Light Theory and The Darkness Within the Human Body by Robert M. Drake. 12 Fabulously Funny Fairy Tale Plays by Justin McQuarrie Martin. The Unofficial Harry Potter Spellbook by Media Lab Books. The Christmas Candle by Max Lucado. Then December, to wrap it up, I read 8 books. I read Dinosaurs Before Dark by Mary Pope Osborne. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which, again, is another one of my favorite books of the year. Stage Fright on a Summer Night by Mary Pope Osborne. Believe in You by the Cimarelli Sisters. This Is Water by David Foster Wallace. Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. Catalyst by Lori Halls Anderson. This, again, is one of my favorite fonts that I did. I didn't even know I could shadow like that, so now I've learned things, then I'm going to use that more. And then the last book I read of the year was The Little Prince by Anton, I can never say his name, Anton de Saint-Exupéry. I can't say it, but you know what I mean. So then we get into the closing. So those are all the books that I read. So this is kind of like the fun and games that I have. So as my Kindle is talking to me. So as I go through the year, I kind of look into my closing or I kind of play games. Sorry, my Kindle really threw me off by talking to me. But I kind of like do fun and games throughout the year within the closing section of the binder. Sorry. Ugh, I got super distracted. Okay, so then I have the 2019 books that I read that were turned into movies. So these were all the books that I read in 2019 that were either turned into movies in 2019 or already had movies. And then I base it off of like, here's the key. So if they have like a target icon, the movie was spot on. Half moon is the movie was semi-accurate, and a yin-yang symbol means that the movie was not accurate at all. So most of them have the half moon. So Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Call of the Wild, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Break into the Internet, The Maze Runner, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Matilda, Ellen Foster, Ready Player One, Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, the play version, I, Robot, Coraline, Vampire Breath, Mr. Popper's Penguins, Peter Pan, the Broadway version, Stuart Little, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, Miracle Worker, Carrie, Let It Snow, The Little Prince, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, The Crimes of Grindelwald, Hocus Pocus, and The Christmas Candle were all books, and based off of the symbol was what I thought about them. Some of these were TV shows, some of them were plays, some of them are Broadway movies, stuff like that. So then I have the best soundtrack songs, because as you guys know, if you follow me on Instagram, I always pair a song with each book, and these are based on book genres and books that best fit the songs. Based on book genres and songs that best fit the books best. I don't know what I wrote there, but I guess that's what makes sense. I'm not going to really go through these because if you guys follow me on Instagram, then I post these monthly, so you guys should just go check out that. But these are like the top 5 in each category. So I had love songs, inspirational songs, self-care songs, faith-building songs. Then I have joyful songs, sad songs, angry songs, and fantastical songs. So if you guys are interested more in like the soundtracks that I do, you should go check that out on either, I have it both on YouTube and on Instagram, but Instagram is probably the better place to look at it because I post like full things on there. But hopefully I've held this up long enough so you guys can kind of pause and like go through my best of if you want to. So then I have where in the world did books take me in 2019? So anything that took me to North America, I have a separate map for that. But then I had a book that took me to Canada. And then over in Europe, I went to London, Scottish Highlands, Denmark, England, Sweden, I think that says. Sweden, I think. Britain. Oh, I have Denmark on there twice. Oops. Greece. I have Britain on there twice, apparently. Then I have Paris, Cotswold, and Ireland. My map for next year is a lot bigger for the Europe section because I didn't realize how many books I read that are from Europe. But then I also have in Asia, Saigon, Vietnam, and then Japan and the Pacific Islands. I also have Patagonia from South America and Melbourne, Australia, and along with that I have New Zealand. The only continents I didn't have a book that took place in was Antarctica and Africa. So Africa is my goal to read a book that takes place in Africa next year. But the rest of them I had visited every continent through the magic of books. So then the next page is where in the USA did books take me in 2019. Not as many as last year. So I went to Oregon, California, Nevada, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Ohio, right? Yeah. Maine, New York, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. I can't see that one. New Jersey, Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, I don't know if I said Alabama already, and Alaska. So, not many. Like, I definitely had more crossed off last year, and I know that my states don't look like the actual states, guys. You don't have to call me out on, like, my bad map drawing. I'm not an artist, but I know that my world map and my USA map are not accurate, but I do my best, and I know what they mean, so that's all that really matters, right? So then I have what decades did books take me to in 2019, which I guess decades isn't really the right word for it. Like, I don't know. I kind of like have them like every 4 or 5 years, I guess, but whatever, you get the gist. But so I went to before the 1800s, 1840s, 1850s, 1860s, 1880s, 1890s, 1910 to 1914, 1925 to 1929, 1935 to 1939, 1940 to 1944, 1945 to 1949, 1950 to 1954, 1955 to 1959, 1960 to 1964, 1965 to 1969. Okay, we're just going to go like this. 1970 all the way through 2019, so something from all of that. And then 1 to 14 years in the future, 21 to 50 years in the future, and then more than 50 years in the future. Whew. 2019 reads that took me to another world. So the 3 books that took me to a different planet was I, Robot, Illuminae, and The Little Prince. Books that took me to a different realm were Harry Potter series and the Fantastic Beasts series, Twisted Tale series, Break the Internet, Peter Pan, For Everywhere, and the Magic Treehouse books. And then took me to a different dimension or the future would be the Maze Runner series, Full Tilt, Runaways, Wrinkle in Time series, Coraline, The Giver series, and Ready Player One. So then we come here, and these are all the books that I've read in series and collections this year. So I completed the Harry Potter and the Fantastic Beasts, and that even included Cursed Child. It even included Cursed Child in there. So I read all of those this year. Plus I read some other Harry Potter stuff related to Harry Potter, but not like actually part of the series. I read all of the Women Are Some Kind of Magic series by Amanda Lovelace. These I just kind of touched on. I don't know if I necessarily finished an entire other series this year. Definitely not. I've started a lot of series and only finished the 2, so... So then we have A to Z books. So my goal was to read a book that started with every letter of the alphabet. I did not get all of them, but I got a lot of them. And it was kind of whatever book started with that letter first, but I also included A and the as letters. So like if the book said like A Midsummer Night's Dream, I couldn't just skip to Midsummer Night's Dream. Like I had to include the A. So it was definitely tricky. I definitely challenged myself on this, but I have A, Al Capone Does My Shirts, B, Bell's Library, C, Call of the Wild, D, Dingoes at Dinner Time, E, Ellen Foster, F, Full Tilt, G, Gathering Blue, H, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, I, Inside Out and Back Again. I couldn't find one for J or K, L, Little and Lion, M, Matilda, N, Number the Stars, O, One of Us is Lying, P, Part of Your World. Couldn't find one for Q. R, Runaways, Find Your Way Home, S, Skizzer, T, The Lucky Few, U, I couldn't find one, V, Viking Ships at Sunrise, W, Who Was Lucille Ball, and I couldn't find one for X, Y, or Z. So I'm also doing this challenge next year since I wasn't able to complete it this year. So then we have the book challenges that I did this year. I just have to switch my camera view and angle, sorry. So I've completed all my book challenges this year except the A to Z one that I just showed you. So my book challenges this year. A book with more than 500 pages was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. A book turned to a movie in 2019 was Let It Snow. A book published in 2019 was The Mermaid's Voice Returns in this one. A book with a number in the title is One of Us is Lying. A book with a non-human character is Part of Your World. A comedy is The Funny Thing Is. A book by a female author was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. A mystery was The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. A book with one-word title was Skizzer. A book of short stories was I, Robot. A book set in a different country was A Midsummer Night's Dream. A nonfiction book was Who Was Lucille Ball. A book by an author I love is The Wednesday Wars. A book recommended by a friend was Code Talker. A book my mom loves is Call of the Wild. A book based entirely on the cover was The Lemonade Wars. A book I can read in a day was What Were the Twin Towers. A book with a bad review was The Princess Saves Herself in this one. A book on my shelf that I haven't read was Inside Out and Back Again. A book set in my hometown was Catalyst. A book set during Christmas was The Christmas Candle. A book written by an author with my initials was This Is Water. A banned book was Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. A favorite book from my childhood is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which I think I used for another one too, so I would probably have to say like Harry Potter and like the Goblet of Fire or something for that one. Like whatever Harry Potter book I didn't use would actually probably have to be that one. Choose Your Own Adventure was Break the Internet. A book from Goodreads 2018 Choice Awards was The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one. A book about a topic that I love is The Pinballs. A book about a topic I don't know much about is The Lucky Few. A book found in a used bookstore was The Miracle Worker. A book read by Rory Gilmore was Stuart Little. An LGBTQ plus book was Little and Lion. And a graphic novel was Runaways Find Your Way Home. Then we have my book bingo, which I completed all the squares. The first one being this angle I completed in May, so like this diagonal. And then the last one was both this one and this one because I had a really hard time finding a book originally in a different language, which ended up being The Little Prince, was the book that I read very last this year. So it was read a book from my TBR pile, read a book from a series, read a book with a character with my name, read a book with read a self-help book, read a book with a dog, read a book originally in a different language, a book based on a biblical story, a book from a bestsellers list, read a play, read a book with a tropical setting, a book over 400 pages, a horror novel, free space, read a children's book over 100 pages, read a book turned to a movie, read a book with a color in the title, read a book set in a place I've never visited, read a book chosen by someone else, read a novel in a genre I don't like, read a book about mental health struggles, a book started but never finished, a spin-off book, a book with nature on the cover, read a poetry book, and listen to an audiobook. So then we go into the Harry Potter sorting game. So basically what I did here was all the characters, like the main characters from each book, I sorted into houses. I'm not going to go through all these because this would take forever, but definitely Gryffindor and Slytherin had a lot. I feel like they all had a lot of them, but I think Ravenclaw actually had the least. I feel like I'm very picky about who goes into Ravenclaw because I'm a Ravenclaw, so if a character is even a little bit dislikable, I'm like, nah, you can go on something else. But yeah, I think Gryffindor ended up having the most characters. I guess Slytherin didn't have a lot because Slytherin I didn't have to double up over on this side. Like some of these I had to double up over here and over here. So I guess maybe Slytherin had the least. And then I did Hogwarts house points. So I got points based on like the challenges. So like for Ravenclaw, if I read every day for 30 days, I got to cross off one line. So I'd get to like highlight under one line. And then read a historical book, I'd get to go 2 lines. And then read a book for 10 days in a row, I got to do 3 lines. Gryffindor, it was read a Potter book, read a Christian book, read a book about a lion. Hufflepuff was read a book recommended by a friend, read a romance book, push through a boring book. And Slytherin was read a graphic novel, read a horror book, read a book from a villain's point of view. So Hufflepuff won on July 2nd, then Ravenclaw, then Slytherin, then Gryffindor. So this is the Hogwarts exam game. I'm not going to go over how I do this. If you guys follow, like over the summer, they do like the Owls exams and the Newts exams, reading challenges and stuff. I based it off of that, but I put my own little twist on it so that I could put it in my notebook and just kind of remember it in the future. But yeah, if you're interested, you can just pause this right now and read the rules. But basically this is how I do like the points and jobs and classes and all that. And then I have like, so here's the classes, here's the jobs, here's how I get points and like the letters and the grades and stuff like that. Then I have like how I would pass my OWL exam. So like, for example, I'm not going to go over all these again. But for example, if I needed to pass my Care of Magical Creatures class, I would have to read a book from an animal's point of view. And you could pretty much get any grade on those. Well, you had to like get like a passing grade. So like I would have to get an O, an E, or an A to pass it. So there's that. So then for my OWL exams to pass astronomy, I read Number the Stars, Charms, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Defense Against Dark Arts, Part of Your World, Flying, Break into the Internet, Herbology, Inside Out and Back Again, History of Magic, The Wednesday Wars, Potions, Skizzer, Transfiguration, Shooter, Arithmancy, One of Us is Lying, Care of Magical Creatures, The Call of the Wild, Divination, The Maze Runner, Muggle Studies. I originally read Seed Folks, but it wasn't a passing grade, so then I had to read Little and Lion, and I got an O. And then Bell's Library, Study of Ancient Runes, I read Bell's Library. So once you pass all your hours, like I had to get all of these before I could move on to this, which is my Newts. And this is how I get my Newts. And Newts has more classes because it also includes like the fun classes you could take. What are those called? Electives you could take in Hogwarts as well. So again, same thing, but I just switch up like, so like for Ghoul Studies, you have to read a book with a monster as a main character kind of thing. And I switched up like arithmancy, whatever I needed for my owls, it would be harder for this one kind of thing. So, and then once you've so the Newts go towards your classes. So once you read, so like, let's say I wanted a job as a backup dancer in the wizarding world, okay? So that's something that I passed. So I needed to read a book that would get me an O in arts and music. So that means I had to read a book that was more than 300 pages. Muggle Studies, I needed an E, and Arithmancy, I needed an A. So these are all based off of page numbers I read, like what book I read and what grade I got, depended on if I got employed or not. I didn't do very well in this because I started it late in the year. I will explain it more probably in my next video when I do my 2020 book binder, like show you guys my 2020 book binder, because it's a little confusing if you didn't like see how I started it and stuff. But basically I ended up with a job as a backup dancer in the arts. Nothing on here. And then a caretaker at a Magazoo. I don't know if a Magazoo actually exists, but I imagine it does, kind of like our zoos, but with like magical creatures. So I said I was a caretaker at a Magazoo for Magazoologist. And then I got a seeker for Quidditch, which I would never ever want to be. I'd probably be like the announcer or something, but I just picked seeker. And this is just something for fun I do. It's not really supposed to make sense to anyone but me. It's kind of just like something that I like. So then I have my 2019 book stats. So here's my book database. These are all the books that I physically own on my bookshelf. They are not Kindle books this year. That's something I'm gonna have to include next year. These are just the physical books that I own. And I own a lot. I own a lot. And I was too lazy to, well, I didn't want to make another page just for one book. So I just squeezed it onto the back here. So over the past 2 years, I've read 101 books out of the 214 books on my bookshelf. That gives me 47% of books read on my bookshelf. In 2019, or the books that I read in 2019 that I also bought in 2019, I read 30 of. Books bought in 2019 that I did not read was 43. So that means I bought 73 books in 2019 and I only read 30 of those 73, which does not look good when you word it like that. Then books bought before 2019 that I've read is 71, and books bought before 2019 that I have not read is 70, which is also not good. But like I said, I definitely unhauled a lot of my books this year too. So then we have monthly book emotions. And this is kind of just like how each book made me feel, kind of put in this like pixel chart. So every square represents the books of the month that I read and how they made me feel. And then at the end, I kind of like do it by month. Honestly, this was pretty good for me. Like January, May, June, August, October, November, and December all gave me happy, funny books. So that was awesome. I only had one sad book month, which was March, one boring book one boring book month, which was July, one other book month, which was February, and one angry book month, which was September. This is going to be a little different in 2020 because obviously a lot of the books made me happy. So I kind of gave myself some more emotions to go with in 2020. Then we have the genre race, which was all the genres of books that I read this year. Sci-fi and fantasy came in first, and this actually went off. I just did not continue once it had reached the finish line, because like you don't do that. Like you reach the finish line and you're done. Then other, then realistic, then nonfiction and memoir, followed by Christian, mystery, and romance. Then amount of time each book took me to read. So here's my little pie chart. But basically I read a lot of books in one day, and then my next second highest was 4 to 6 days, then 10 to 15 days, then the rest were all kind of like scrambled little pieces, but like definitely read a lot of like books in a day, which I was pretty amazed about. Like, look at how many I read. I read 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 books in one day. I didn't read all 40 in one day. I read a book a day 40 times. So yeah. And then I have monthly books read, so you can kind of just see how it tracked throughout the month. So like my lower months were like January, February, and then like November down here. And then you can clearly see that my highest month was June. Then I have my star ratings graph. So I had 6 1-star books this year. And then I had 12 2-star books this year, 27 3-star books this year, 24 4-star books this year, and 22 5-star books this year that I read. Which, this is good. This is where this should be even lower, I think, but this is good. I was happy with this. Like, obviously 3 stars usually going to get the most because there's a lot of books that just kind of like fall in the meh category. But like, I was happy with how high 4 and 5 was. And then total pages read this year was 22,591. My lowest month being November at 902, and my highest month being October at 2,933. Oh, no, I'm sorry. June was 3,005. So I thought that was the highest, but no, 3,005 was my highest. So then we do our end of the year 2019 book race, which is like the mid-year one. This is just the 2019 books. And it really came down to Harry Potter series and Daisy Jones and the Six, which this was a tough choice. Daisy Jones and the Six and Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo are definitely tied for my favorite book, or my second favorite book of the year. But I think Daisy Jones and the Six passed it by like just slightly because Daisy Jones and the Six was the first book I read by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So that kind of made me fall in love with her, whereas Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo I read secondary. But yeah, so Harry Potter series will always win in my mind. I think it's not fair when you're going up against Harry Potter, but Daisy Jones and the Six is a really close second, and Evelyn Hugo is like right there too. So then we have the 2019 July through December book superlatives. So my July through September 5-star books were Ellen Foster, Daisy Jones and the Six, Girl Made of Stars, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, The Crimes of Grindelwald, Carrie, Hogwarts Library, and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. My top book for July through December was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Worst was I, Robot. Best characters were Fred and George from the Harry Potter series. Best setting was Peter Pan. Most diverse was Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Longest book was Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Shortest book was 12 fabulously funny fairy tale plays. Funniest book was Fun Home. Saddest book was Catalyst. Song that best fits the book was The Unicorn and Princess Rainbow by Stephen Stephen, which goes with the For Everywhere. Sorry. Overall quote was, "The greatest problem I have is how to discipline her without breaking her spirit," which was Annie Sullivan from The Miracle Worker. Best poetry was Please. Best YA, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Best Christian, The Christmas Candle. Best children, Matilda. Best adult, Daisy Jones and the Six. Best mystery, Nipped in the Bud. Best nonfiction, The Miracle Worker. Best sci-fi fantasy was Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Best author was J.K. Rowling and Taylor Jenkins Reid. Best historical was Rivals, Frenemies Through History. Best nonfiction was The Miracle Worker. Best romance, did I say that already? I don't know. Best romance was Let It Snow, and best book box was Owl Crate. The characters I most related to was Allison from Fun Home and Luna and Hermione from Harry Potter. Whew, I'm getting out of breath, guys. So then we have, I just have to adjust my legs, sorry. So then we have my overall award winners. I'm going to steady my hand again. Top book of the year was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Worst book of the year was Impulse. I don't think anyone should read this book. It is by Ellen Hopkins, and I just think it does a bad job displaying mental health. Best characters of the year were Fred and George from Harry Potter. Best setting was Ready Player One. Most diverse was Seed Folks. Longest book was Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Shortest book was 12 fabulously funny fairy tale plays. Funniest book was Love and Luck. Song that best fit the book was The Unicorn and the Princess Rainbow from For Everywhere. Saddest book was Catalyst. Best book box was Owl Crate. Overall best book quote was, "It is not what someone is born, but what they grow to be," by Albus Dumbledore from the Harry Potter books. Best adult was Daisy Jones and the Six. Best Christian was The Christmas Candle. Best mystery was One of Us is Lying. Best historical was Tonight on the Titanic. Best poetry was The Princess Saves Herself in this one. Best children's YA was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Best sci-fi fantasy was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Best romance was Let It Snow. Best nonfiction was The Funny Thing Is. Best author was J.K. Rowling. Best cover art was Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel. The most accurate book to movie was Hocus Pocus, like the first part of it, not the sequel because there's not a movie part to the sequel, but like the first like movie companion part was good, like exactly like as it should be. Least accurate book to movie was Let It Snow. Character I most relate to is Hermione from the Harry Potter books. Month I read the most book was June, and month I read the least books was November, which even though it was actually January, February, May, and November, I all read 5. The least amount of pages was November, so that is the month I read the least. So those are my overall everything for the year 2019. And then the last page, well, not really the last page, but like the actual like last page of something is all the best quotes of the year. So this is just a collection of like pretty way to write all the quotes. So anytime there was a quote in here, like where you saw like the quote mark, it either said quote or like best part. All the ones that said quote made it to this page. So I just kind of wrote it out and made a pretty quote page. And then oh, okay, so then this was just Bookopoly, which I got the idea from Becca and the Books. If you guys don't follow her on YouTube, you definitely should. But it is just like a little board game when I couldn't decide what to read. You play just like Monopoly to figure out like what to read next kind of thing. I didn't really use that this year that much, so I'm not going to do it again next year, but it was definitely fun just to give it a go. And then it says goodbye 2019, so bye 2019. I can't wave this way. Bye 2019 and hello 2020.
So that was my 2019 book journal, and I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I am sorry this video was so long, but I really, really wanted to just give you a look into all the amazing things that I kind of discovered that I could do with a notebook this year. You know, I don't know. It really took me to a new universe, a new level of reading. And it really was like a calming factor in all the chaos that I had this year. But this is the last video for 2019. You guys know I had a great start to 2019, and then life just fell apart the last couple months, which I'm so sad about and still overcoming, but your guys's love and support on this channel, on Instagram, through the holidays, before all this happened even, so many of you have just been amazing, and I want to thank you guys so much for being a part of my Bookworm family. I hope you guys had a great 2019 and that you are ready to start 2020. Bye!